Today is the day of Deltarune tomorrow. Tomorrow is the day of Deltarune, making today's Deltarune's tomorrow. Deltarune is tomorrow. Dude, these hiccups, as soon as I got ready to record, these hiccups started. Can I say that? Has it been 30 seconds? No, it hasn't. Okay, we're gonna bleep that one. It has been such a long wait for Deltarune chapters 3 and 4, and they are finally hitting tomorrow. And so, throughout this journey, throughout this wait, there's been a lot of theorizing happening in the community, of course, you know, as you do. And I've had some thoughts along the way that I haven't ever made public. Some things that I want to share, get some thoughts on in the split second before the chapters finally release. I'm going to talk about chess theory first, and this video it's kind of for people in the know, people who have been waiting for these chapters to release. If you don't know what chess theory is, I will include a link to a video in the description. It'll be the top link in the description for you to go check that out if you're interested before you hear what I have to say about it. It's a great theory, and I want to call it widely accepted. Maybe I'll call it more widely recognized because a lot of people back it. A lot of people believe it. I don't know how many people actually believe it, you know, note for note and really think it is 100% true, but at the end of the day, it has a very wide reach and a very wide acceptance. And that's for good reason. It is a really good theory. It's a well put together theory. And real quick, I'm just gonna shove this out of the way. It's not a theory by definition. I don't think anything is in the gaming space anymore. If there's a story and you want to predict what happens next, we all call it a theory now. And I don't think that's the right term at all. But going forward, I'm just gonna call it a theory because everyone calls it a theory at this point. Anyway, I have one big problem with chess theory, and it's kind of the most obvious one. It's just too far reaching. It just can't be true. I don't think it can be completely 100% true. I think there's a lot of good stuff there, but the fact that this comes from 2 chapters of the game, it may have even started after chapter 1, like, I'm not 100% on that. It definitely was not fully fledged if it started after chapter 1 and before chapter 2, but we just can't predict what's going to happen in the next 5 chapters of the game after chapter 2, because we don't know hardly anything about Deltarune at this point in time, even though it feels like we know so much. We know 2/7 of the content of this game, minus the stuff we know from Undertale. That's kind of its own can of worms. It seems a little bit of a stretch that we would have a structure of the thematics of the next 5 chapters coming when we've only seen 2, and it feels, I can't really explain it. It just feels like it would be limiting for Toby Fox. It feels like it would almost be more of a restriction to tie each chapter of the game into a different chess piece. Not that there's not plenty of other things going on in the chapters other than just the main antagonist, but it's reaching. It's reaching in that aspect. So one of the first things the video I have linked down below about chess theory talks about is why not playing card theory. Because in the first 2 chapters we have a king and a queen as the main antagonists, so this could be going 2 ways. It could be going the playing card route, or it could be going the chess route. And the way the person making the video debunks or shoots down playing card theory, I don't know what to call it. Great video, by the way. Again, want to put this out there. You know, very well put together, well researched, well thought out. It almost backs playing card theory more than it does debunk it, I think. And I'll elaborate more on what I mean by playing card theory, but for now, we're just going off the basis of chapter 1 has a king, chapter 2 has a queen. Chess theory states that, you know, the next chapters are going to have, I think the bishop would be next, maybe the rook, then the bishop, then the knight coming up. And I'm inclined to believe more that the king and queen just have to do with playing cards than they would chess. Because in the video, he says, oh, it can't be playing card theory because we have all these characters who are based off of playing cards already. Like Lancer is a jack We've got the rules card, the character rules card. We've got pawns and everything. I don't know. Like, I don't see how that is proof for chess theory. That seems like it's showing us that those characters are meant to be seen from the playing card angle and not from the chess angle. Another thing about chess theory, why? Like, thematically, the idea that player is playing with the white pieces and Gaster or whoever else is playing with the dark pieces, the Darkeners. That's interesting. Themes of control there. We already have plenty of themes in control in other ways. And why chess? Why would chess be the encapsulating theme of the whole game? That doesn't make sense to me. So I have a question for you. Why doesn't the official Deltarune web merch store, why does it not have playing cards? I mean, think about it. We have a lot of quirky and unique merchandise here. We have an apron, that's pretty sick. Fridge magnets, a little more standard. But these sleep masks? I haven't seen merch of sleep masks before. Spamton's special fun pack, which comes with just like a bunch of bullshit if you look at it. Like, what even? It's just random stuff. And the Undertale merch, even more unique little trinkets. We have some tarot prints here, that's pretty cool. Long dog scarf, oven mitten pot holder set with a matching apron as well. Oh, there's actually a whole kitchen collection for all that. There's solid pepper shakers of Sands and Papyrus. That's cool. So you'd think, with all of these playing card related characters, some of the characters even coming from playing card designs, I would need to fact check like the specifics on that one, but like, yeah, pretty sure. I'll put some text on screen, maybe, if I find something. Why isn't there playing cards on the store? That would be a slam dunk. It's not like novelty playing card manufacturing isn't a thing. Most of the packs of playing cards I see in stores are novelty or non-standard decks of playing cards. Balatro just released, the set of their own playing cards, so, video games may be doing it as well. Very quirky merch store. Why is there no playing cards? I think it's because we haven't seen the ace yet. You see, we have our king, we have our queen, we have our jack, we have our joker. It's really hard to line up pointing. Well, okay, that guy, you know the guy I'm talking about, Jevil. We have plenty of characters that came from playing cards representing the 4 suits. I think we don't have playing cards simply because we have not seen the ace yet, or something else that is going to be included on this set of playing cards. All of that to say, I don't think the queen and the king have anything to do with chess. I think it just has to do with the playing cards theme, and that the reason why we haven't seen it come into fruition is because we're missing our ace. I mean, it is weird that the ace is notably absent when we have the other 3 face cards, right? The next theory that I want to talk about is just started from an observation I made that I wanted to discuss, and I wrote it down in my phone for this video, but as time went on, some dots connected. I think this one is really cool. So, we know Chris has some sort of trauma with the bunker, right? We see in chapter 2 that Chris is freaked out near it, or whatever. There's some dialogue with Susie. I'll put it on screen. I'll put what I can find on screen. It's not fresh in the head. But my first observation was Chris has trauma with the bunker. So, this trauma probably did not happen outside the bunker. If Chris is like backing away from the doors or whatever, doesn't want to go in the bunker, the trauma probably happened in the bunker. Very reasonable to assume. The bunker is the Gaster bunker. It has the Gaster garbage noise. I almost called it music. The Gaster garbage noise playing. Slowed down. 666%, the Gaster number. It's the Gaster bunker. Chris has been in the Gaster bunker. Chris has trauma with the Gaster bunker. This observation was just, it's not a stretch to say that Chris and Gaster have probably met or interacted. I feel crazy for saying that, right? But, I mean, like, am I wrong? I guess it's impossible to say for sure, but is my train of thought wrong? And that just started as the observation I wanted to share. But then, another dot connected. In both Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, once you have left the Dark World and come to the surface, Chris tries to talk to Undyne about it, and Undyne only. And the community got really focused on why is Chris only trying to talk to Undyne, right? Undyne is a cop. Chris is trying to alert the authorities. Is there any more to why it's just Undyne specifically? I don't know. Let's think about it separated from Undyne. Undyne is a cop. Chris tries to alert the police as soon as he enters the Dark World. Both times. Susie doesn't see the Dark World as a threat, but Chris sees it as something important enough to alert the police about. Chris sees the Dark World as a threat. Why might that be? I think Chris may have been taken to some sort of Dark World or been told about the Dark Worlds in some way in that bunker. That lines up pretty well. Chris has trauma with the bunker. Chris is the only one who seems to be alerted about the Dark Worlds in a negative way, enough to inform the cops, but it goes deeper than that. When you first start the game and enter the Dark World and you save for the very first time, Chris already has a save file in the Dark World. I think this is because Chris entered Dark World or something similar while in the bunker and made their save file there. Something bad happened in that bunker. Chris wants to alert the police, the save file. I don't know. It all just connects really well, at least I think. All right, that's theory 2 out of the way. Now, let's talk about theory number 3. Is my left eye is puffy right now. This one? How visible? It's like only a little visible. Thank you. I think maybe Toriel might die at the end of chapter 3 or 4. Which is quite the claim. Am I really that much of a believer on this one? I don't know, but I want you to hear me out. In Chapter 2's Snowgrave, or Weird Route, you end up killing Birdly in the Dark World, and you see what that looks like in the Light World. Birdly becomes brain dead. So the big question is, will Birdly stay that way in the Chapter 3, 4 ongoing Weird Routes, right? Once you've done the Weird Route in Chapter 2, will Birdly stay brain dead? I hope so, for a narrative sake. It would feel like a little cheap if you did all that and then Birdly was just fine and walking around. But that aside, I think he will. I think Birdly's death is a warning shot, because Birdly, at this point in the game, is not a super important character. I mean, you can debate that if you want, but I'm saying in the grand scheme of things, who does the player have a higher connection with, Toriel or Birdly, right? There are other characters in the game who definitely feel more important internally than Birdly does. Plus, Birdly's death is completely optional. You don't have to end up with a dead Birdly if you don't want to, but if you do, we see what it looks like in the Light World. So it's a completely optional character death that is not of one of the more important characters so far. I think this may be Toby's way of showing us what happens when a character dies in a Dark World to prepare us for something that's coming later that will happen no matter what. I think it would make a lot of sense for Toriel to die in one of the upcoming chapters, because the fanbase has grown quite attached to all of these characters over the years, Toriel especially, and her plot relevance in Deltarune probably won't be as heavy, because Deltarune is looking to focus on these newer characters, at least it looks like for now. Toriel's death in Undertale is impactful, but really not all that important, because part of the game's story is that there's multiple timelines. You can start a new save file and not kill Toriel. It was your choice this whole time. It's not set in stone. No matter how much we love all the characters in Undertale, none of their deaths are that meaningful, because it could just be rewritten. At least to the player, they're not that meaningful. In the grand scheme of Deltarune, she's just the mother figure so far, right? And hasn't done much for the plot. Killing her would be sad in the sense of Deltarune because you've lost your mom, but it would be even sadder for the player because they have spent so much time with Toriel over the years, and this death is permanent. So there's not too much to that theory, more of just something that could happen. That's all Deltarune theories right now, though. On to just another little thought or theory. I spent a lot of time thinking about why Papyrus hasn't been included in the game yet, and there's been a lot of buildup around him. At the end of Chapter 1, we were told, hey, you'll see Papyrus in Chapter 2. At the end of Chapter 2, we're told, maybe tomorrow, actually, Deltarune tomorrow. Yeah, that's when you're gonna see Papyrus. So there's been some buildup here, and the only thing I can think of is that Papyrus is going to be vastly different. I don't think he's going to just, have a different profession and outfit, he might be a different character altogether. After all, it would be really weird if we had all of this build-up for Papyrus just being shown on screen, and it was the same old Papyrus up to his similar old antics. Finally, I want to talk about the ending of Deltarune, because as you may know, in or before 2012, Toby Fox had a fever dream for the ending of a video game, and he woke up and he wrote it down and started designing characters or whatever, and that is going to be the ending to Deltarune. Now, what could he have seen so clearly that warranted making the entire game? The ending was his starting point for this. So if we can dissect what that might look like a little bit, just in broad strokes, we might be able to have a bit of insight on what this ending could be. This is more of a discussion topic, but I do have a couple of thoughts. For instance, I think the roaring is absolutely going to happen at some point in the story. It would be kind of wild if it didn't. We have all of this imagery associated with it, and there's a lot of build-up for it and preventing it. It would be kind of weird if we never saw who the Titans were or what the roaring actually looks like. So maybe the ending of the game has to do with the roaring. Again, we see cracks in the ground and lit up skies when Ralse is telling us about it. Pretty clear visuals of what it could look like. Maybe it was that. That aligns with the trippiness and weirdness of a fever dream as well. But more specifically, he said he saw the ending to a video game. So, just to tie this into a video game, maybe he saw the main characters fighting the player. He saw the ending to a video game, and this ending was so compelling and so clear, he made the whole game around it. And so maybe, with all these themes of control we've been seeing, with the player being separated from Chris and him making the characters right as soon as the dream wrapped up, maybe that's what he saw in his fever dream. A game where the player is separate from the main character, you're controlling the main character, and at the very end, all the characters turn against you, the player. This is just sort of a back to front approach to theorizing on the end of it, but I haven't seen many people talk about the ending or theorizing about it in that way. So just wanted to throw that one out there as well. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. I'm going to be streaming Deltarune like 30 minutes after it drops, maybe 45. I'm going to be as quick as possible on that. So if you want to stop by, it'll be live here on this YouTube channel. All you need to do is hit subscribe. Oh, you see that? Hell yeah, Deltarune's tomorrow. So I'll see you then, or I won't. That's okay too. Bye-bye.